Hello everyone, my name is Quava Blue, not really, but let's say it is, and move on to my review of WWE Payback 2013. And I'll just get started right away, and the first thing was the Payback kickoff, which I can't review because I didn't see it, but Sheamus won, just in case you wanted to know that. Anyway, moving on, so the first match of the night was the Intercontinental Championship match, triple threat between Wade Barrett, The Miz, and Curtis Axel. And Curtis Axel won and is now the new Intercontinental Champion. And that means that he's better than perfect, or something like that, because that's what Paul Heyman decides to say. But the match was alright. It kind of was slow at the start, and then it got a little better, and he won by pinning Wade Barrett whilst he was in the figure 4 leg lock. And I gave that 3 1/4. Let's move on. Next match was the Divas Championship match between Kaitlyn and AJ. AJ won, and she beat Kaitlyn, and it was kind of cool of a match. It was a decent Divas match, which hasn't been around in a while. But then Kaitlyn got really sad at the end, and I felt really sad for Kaitlyn too. I was crying inside as well. I felt bad for her, and my friend, she also felt bad for her, and that was the first time she'd ever seen that person, so I was like, wow, I feel bad for Kaitlyn. But AJ won, and I'm happy about that. 2.5. For a Divas match, that's pretty good. The United States Championship match between Dean Ambrose and Kane. Honestly, Oswanton 007 was just being a complete idiot during the entire time, so I didn't really watch all of this match. So I only gave it 2.5, so it might be worth a bit more, but I didn't really see all of the match. Yeah, in fact, I barely remember the match at all, but I gave it a 2.5. Let's move on to the next one. The World Heavyweight Championship match between Alberto Del Rio and Dolph Ziggler. This was alright. It was an okay match. How to explain it? It was quite an easy way to tell that, like, Dolph Ziggler still was, like, in a concussion sort of state. All of the shots were to the head, and basically that's how Del Rio won, and people are like, oh, that was a cheap way of winning, even though Dolph Ziggler won by cashing in the Money in the Bank. And that means he's a heel now, because he did something that a heel does, even though he was completely ready for the match. And, you know, it just doesn't even make sense. The match was kind of cool, but it was mainly Del Rio, and Dolph Ziggler didn't do much. And after he got kicked in the head a couple times, he was just out of it, and I was like, okay, this is basically just going to be another match where Del Rio wins. But then he turned heel, which was kind of a surprise. Kind of. I didn't really care too much, but yeah, it was worth 3 1/4 at least. So yeah, moving on to the best match of the night, definitely, which was CM Punk versus Chris Jericho. So this match was in Chicago, which CM Punk was made in Chicago. So basically this was his hometown crowd, where he could come back and people would chant like crazy mad fangirls would for One Direction, but for one man and for CM Punk, and people wouldn't call them gay for doing it. So I like CM Punk, of course I do, but I'm not gonna like go all fangirly over him either. But either way, this was a good match. Chris Jericho and CM Punk, they're both extremely good wrestlers. They're both very entertaining. If anything, like, they're very similar in ways, and then they're very different in other ways. Also, I was with my friend, and she was cringing half the time, because, yes. It was just fun to watch the reactions of the crowd. Really, the crowd in Chicago made that match really good. The match itself, obviously, was back and forth. Finishes, kickouts. the nerdiest thing I've ever seen from Oswanton, which was funny. It was such a great match as well. I gave it 4.5. I know CM Punk fans would have given it like 5 stars because, oh my god, it's CM Punk versus Chris Jericho. No John Cena to be found, and no stupid face money makers to be found, or some crap like that. But to me, it was a good match. I liked it. It was entertaining. Definitely the best match of the night, and 4.5 is definitely what it's worth. Anyway, moving on, tag team match. I didn't really see a lot of this one either because the people I was watching it with were just not really into the match at the time. They were talking about other stuff, and I was trying to watch it, but yeah. I did get to see a lot of it, and it was a decent match. Daniel Bryan did some awesome stuff, like he normally does. Randy Orton, yeah. I wish he would make a heel turn already, but he hasn't. Anyway, worth 3, I think. Yeah, 3, which is good. The Shield won. I haven't been saying who won, but I don't care. Anyway, moving on to the last match of the night. John Cena versus Ryback, or as some people would say, the sleeper main event. And not sleeper in a good way, like a bad way, because makes you go to sleep. But I liked it. I liked it because I like John Cena. And Ryback's not that good, but I like John Cena, and it was a good match. Overall, it was decent. There were some cool parts. I like when he jumped off the top rope into a group of lumberjacks, which was fun to watch, because you don't see John Cena do that much. And that wasn't sarcasm, you actually don't. It was fun to watch. Ryback won the first match, the lumberjack match, which I didn't think he would. I thought Cena would win that one, and then Ryback would win the tables match, but he didn't. John Cena won the tables match, and then John Cena ended the match by attitude adjustment. Ryback through the roof of the ambulance so that he fell into the ambulance, and that ended the match. It was a pretty extreme kind of match as well. It was just cool to watch, and it was a good match. Okay, I gave it 4. I know other people are gonna be like, oh, John Cena, blah blah blah, but I'm not like that, and I gave it a 4 because I thought it was worth it. At least a 4. Well, probably at most a 4, but I give it what it's at most, which is a 4. It was a decent main event, I guess. As for the entire pay-per-view, I think it got 6.5 out of 10 or something like that. My phone's going crazy. Yeah, it was a decent pay-per-view. For the first payback ever, it was all right. The CM Punk coming back is definitely what made it the best. Oh, yes, and RVD is coming back at Money in the Bank, and guess what? I don't give a fuck. I do not care that RVD is coming back to the WWE. If you were going to bring back some weed-smoking has-been douchebag, why didn't you bring back Jeff Hardy? Because at least he's entertaining. I mean, RVD is like, just, why bring him back when you could have brought back Jeff Hardy? Or you could have brought back Mr. Kennedy or Mr. Anderson or whoever he is. All these much better people that you could have brought back from TNA. Or you could have tried to get some new people in there. But no, instead you went to go for RVD, which is basically playing into the hands of the IWC just because they want to see someone that they saw in the Attitude Era instead of trying to see someone new. I mean, sure, I don't like the PG era that much anymore. I mean, it was cool for like a year and a half or 2 or so, but now it's getting old. We need to move on. But, yes, I get it. You want RVD back, you want, ruthless aggression, blah, 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 blah. But guess what? You could do that with new people instead of bringing back these has-beens like RVD. Especially RVD. He was never that good. Mr. Monday Night. God, why would you even give him that name? He just wasn't that good. Sure, he was good. Just nowhere near as good as, like, Jeff Hardy or John Cena or CM Punk or Chris Jericho or Christian, who's back, yay. I mean, you bring back Christian on Raw, but you're going to bring back RVD on Money in the Bank. That's just bullshit. Anyway, enough of a rant about RVD. Yeah, pay-per-view, payback, blah blah blah. Watch it. That's it from me. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever you'd like to do, as long as my name's Blue, and I'll see you next time.